Hello, everybody. I just saw this today. Um, BBC Pay: Men still dominate star salaries list. Here we go. Um, I'm not sure why they keep bringing this out. I mean, we've seen the companies around the UK that were forced to give out I think it was 250 companies were forced to, companies that employed over, I think, 250 employees or more had to give a record data on what they paid female staff and what they paid male staff, and it was shown 76 to 78%. I think 78% of men are still paid more than women. Don't understand why that's anything unusual about it. To be honest with you, I thought it would have been higher, but the fact that it's showing you that, and the thing is, what is the purpose of that? What does it actually do? It wasn't even where it said this is the information that we need so we can actually see the reason. How many hours are women working? How much overtime are women doing? What industries are these women working in? Nothing of that. It's just how much are women paid compared to men. And so people see that and then just start jumping, screaming, shout, and really outcry. But none of the data, there wasn't enough data to gather to show the amount of hours that women work, the amount of sick time they take off in comparison to men. None of this is, well, yet the information is out there. Women take more time off than men. Women have more sick time than men. Men do more overtime than women. But these factors are not really into account. The fact that men ask for more pay rises is because of the fact that many of these men are married, have children, and are thinking, I need more money so that I can feed my children and my wife, who has probably, if she isn't in a job, or maybe, I mean, in the past, women did used to say to their husband, look, you need to get that pay rise because we've got another baby on the way, we've got an extra amount to feed, and we're going to need that extra money. So the motivation for men to go to ask for a pay rise is because of their family. A single man on his own, in his 20s or 30s, earning a reasonably fairly good wage, generally doesn't need to worry. But the moment whether you marry or cohabitate with somebody, and you have children, that's an extra expense that needs to be covered. So it's no surprise that men in the past went and asked for a pay rise because they had extra mouths to feed. Let's quickly go through this. I'm not going to go through the whole one. Match of the Day host Gary Lineker has overtaken Chris Evans as the best paid person on the list, earning between 1.7 million to 1.76 million 2017 to 18. Oh, by the way, I think England are probably going to be kicked out of the Football World Cup in Russia. The last I saw was an equaliser, so probably on their way home. But anyway, I mean, I'm not a football fan, I can't stand football. But there you go. Evans, Graham Norton, Jeremy Vine, and John Humphries are amongst those to have seen their pay drop since last year. So it's not surprising because I think John Humphries was got into that little bit of a discussion with his friend John Soap, and I think the mic had been deliberately left on, and they were discussing about the pay. It was a little bit of a joke between them, and I think John Humphries said, "Are you going to give some of your money to the cause?" They made a little joke. Everybody, I thought it was funny. but obviously the women in the BBC didn't think it was funny, and collectively burnt their bras and lost their collective shit. And so they were, you know, I suppose forced to apologise, and all this kind of nonsense. Then you've got that horrible hag, Kerry, who is a consistent liar, a nasty character. I've seen her on News 24 many times before. She comes on dressed like a bag lady, really badly dressed. Don't rate her one iota as a newsreader. She's horrendous, absolutely horrendous, really nasty. Funny thing is, I'm not sure if I've heard from Jane Hill. She's one of the big rising stars of the female. I mean, she's a very good commentator and always dresses sensibly and smartly. Unlike Kerry, who always dressed, as I say, a bag lady, terrible dress sense. And yet, I didn't hear much from her. But anyway, let's carry on. Claudia Winkleman is still top woman, earning 370 grand. Mary Berry and then Newsnight Emily Mattis are among 8 women who have joined the list. Winkleman was 8th last year, but has now dropped to 13th because of the results of shake-up of the corporation. Shows like Strictly Come Dancing, which are made by BBC Studios, are no longer included in the list because BBC Studios is now considered a commercial entity. Just look at the state of this. Holy sweet Christmas. The BBC said the published salaries did not yet fully reflect some pay rises and pay cuts, which will not be filtered through until next year. So apparently these two earn less than 2 people than the male co-host. Don't care, I'm not interested, you know. This the second year that the BBC has published salaries of the best paid presenters, although actors, comedians and some hosts have been removed this time as a result of the BBC studio change. So there's, I don't know what that has to do with it, but it's obviously, I think BBC Studio is now a commercial arm of BBC. It's whatever. Last year, the top 7 were all male, and the list sparked an outcry about gender inequality, with some men shown to have been paid more than female co-hosts. You see, the thing is, even when a female BBC executive came out and showed the figures of what Prince John Sokol, in comparison to Carey's experience. John Sokol had been a controller in a number of programs. He was also a American editor. She was in China. They stated that he did perhaps twice as much work as she did, because obviously in America it's constant, it's ongoing, it's non-stop. Whereas in China, there is news that filters out accordingly and is not as hectic as the American schedule, and so forth and so forth. But it doesn't matter. You see, everybody's individual should be taken on individually, and their results should be looked on their qualifications and how long they've been at the corporation for, and their pay scale according to whatever job they've had before. If they've moved to another position, the pay scale has stayed. If they've moved to a job similar to what they were doing before, or is paid the same. There were also complaints. Oh, hold on. Last year, there were also complaints about a lack of ethnic diversity. We get this every year. This year, the figures at the top of the list are all white again, although the BBC said the overall number of B, A and E stars on the list is rising. I don't know what that is, but at the end, nonsense. And you see, the thing is, if the BBC is cutting its gender pay gap to 7.6, it's doing something, and it must be down. It's got to be down to positive discrimination. Is the reason why it's been able to cut that. Surely that must be illegal. You know, positive discrimination, i.e. affirmative action, needs to be up in this day and age. It now needs to be removed. But the powers that be, for whatever reason, are scared of the feminist movement. Why? I mean, if the feminist movement were to stop, all the women would stop working today, the world would still go round. If all the men were to stop working today, the world would stop. Period. If men were to collectively say, you know what, we've had enough of this shit, and decided to down tools fully for one day, it would take probably a week before everything got back to all the power stations, electricity stations, fire, you name it. So this is all nonsense. This year's list includes on-air presenters who earned more than 150 grand in the financial year 2017-18, and sports and radio, as well as some TV entertainment shows. Director General Tony Hall said the BBC was making progress, and he wants to have a 50-50 split on the list as a whole. But these things take time. The BBC has pledged to close the gap by 2020. So, in other words, positive. It's not positive, but just affirmative action to somehow pay these women much more money, and to do it by reducing the men's. Well, they've already had a casualty in a guy. I think it's called Eddie Mayer. I'm not sure if it's Eddie Mayer. The guy who was on the BBC on the radio before, very popular guy, had high, listenership. BBC came to him and said, "Oh, I think he was earning over 120 grand. We're going to reduce your pay by this amount." He said, "Stuff you," and now has taken a job with LBC, who are willing to pay that amount of money plus more. So, I think he was 20 years or more. I think he's 54, and he's been forced to leave the BBC because the BBC now want to reduce his pay. There is going to be, I think, in the next 20 years, at the BBC, you're going to see virtually all the presenters are going to be female. All the presenters, and I hope they do, because then maybe the BBC will then start reducing their wages to normal people's wages, to under 100 grand, 150,000 to save money. By all means, remove all the male, then reduce their pay. This is nonsense. There's this silly. Here we go. But BBC, but ours presented Jane Graveney heard this stupid bitch talk before, who is one of the 8 women to join the list, told Radio 4's programme the pace of change was absolutely glacial. Really? She said there needs to be a proper conversation why we are still fighting the same old battle on equal pay. You get equal pay, you're getting the same pay per hour. It's just probably the amount of hours that you actually work, and why the work of women just isn't valued in the same way as men. That's for another discussion. And so on and so forth. So here we go. So here's the list of the geezers. Well done, men. Keep up the good work. Very happy indeed. There's Mr. Lineker. Cool. Chris Evans is looking old these days. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's the old Winkleman. Lesbian lover. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Oh, here are the women. Oh, who's this? Is that a woman of colour? I'm not sure. Anyway, so here are all the women. Virtually all white women. Where are there any black women in this list? Where? We don't know. So here we go. Anyway, thanks for listening.